Hi everyone. So I've been looking through my footage and I actually didn't video anything on Thursday. This video is probably going to tell you a little bit about why. Also the fact that we can't actually video inside the hospitals, quite rightly. So this is kind of just a little bit of a reflective piece actually. Thursday was a really important day. It was the first time that we had gone into one of the hospitals. We went to UPMC Presbyterian on a 6-hour observational shift. Before we came to the US, we'd all been given a request form to choose 3 different places that we'd like to go in the hospital. So I think I chose the ED, cardiothoracic ITU and trauma ICU in that order. And I was allocated to go to the trauma ICU. Now, it is my first experience of intensive care at all, here or at home. And so while I was quite I guess apprehensive about going, I was also really looking forward to go because it is one of the things I'm considering as part of my career path in neurosurgery, and so I really kind of wanted to see what the environment was like and whether or not it would be something that could suit me. So when I got up there, I got allocated to a mentor, and my job was basically all day to ask them questions, as many as I could think of, but you don't know what you don't know, so I did my best. But equally, she was really good at showing me the equipment and showing me what her day looked like and sort of how she managed her time and how she managed her patients. She cared for 2 patients in the same go, and my understanding in the UK is that that's not the case. And my intention when I get home is to do like a little mini series of differences between the US and the UK healthcare system, but I really don't have time for that in this video, and I'm going to tell you why. So Thursday was actually my very first experience of a cardiac arrest. Now, quite a lot of the people that I know back at home have already had experience of this and had experiences of emergency buzzers, and I haven't actually had that much experience. I've had one emergency buzzer go off where someone fell unconscious very briefly, but nothing as intense and extreme as this, and they can prepare you for it all they like, but it's never ever going to prepare you, I don't think, for actually seeing it in real life. So this is kind of just an off-the-cuff reflection because I don't think I've still processed it in its entirety, but equally I don't feel any extremes of emotion about it. I know on the day that there was a lot of adrenaline pumping, and that when that adrenaline had worn off, I was certainly shaken up. But there was no part of the experience where I felt scared or fearful, or that I didn't know what I was doing or would have done if I was allowed to get involved. So one of the patients came back from the OR and very quickly became incredibly ill, and my mentor and I had walked into her buddy's room to help sort of take the handover for this patient back from the OR, and we looked at them and knew straight away that something was really wrong, and their vital signs kind of recovered a tiny bit and we left the room, but maybe within 20 seconds we were back in there, and they'd started bagging the patient, and then they lost their pulse, and then the CPR began, and it was literally as quick as that. Like, it just started to happen, and before I knew it, I was involved in this experience that I just totally wasn't expecting. My mentor was incredible. They helped to time the code. So they were timing the CPR, letting people know when pulse checks were coming up so that the doctors could get the ultrasound onto the heart and that they could feel for like femoral artery pulses or carotid artery pulses. The CPR went on for quite a few minutes. They got emergency access through the shin. They pushed, I think, 3 rounds of epi. And the team worked absolutely seamlessly. It was one person after the other, and they were constantly changing over, and the doctors were constantly communicating, trying to intubate the patient, which was difficult, but they managed to. And actually one of the nurses asked if I wanted to get involved with the CPR, and if I'd have been at home in the UK, I 100% would have done, but obviously we're not allowed to. And that was really frustrating, actually, like not being able to get involved when I knew that I could, and I would have felt comfortable to do so. But what an incredibly valuable experience, and I can say that now, having had a couple of days to kind of just process it all a little bit. I think while it was happening, I just felt completely numb. Like, I didn't have time to think about how I felt about it. I just was there, and I was watching it, and I was getting on with it. Like I said, I was really impressed with how everyone worked together, and obviously you have to in those sorts of situations, but I was just really impressed with how that went on. I was grateful that I got to watch that experience and that my mentor wanted me there. So she kept me back and she kept me to the side when people had been sent away and said, no, you're going to stay here, and if you're comfortable you can watch this. And so I stayed. Afterwards I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Yeah, like I was just like, oh my gosh, what a bizarre way to end the day. And it literally was at the end of our observational shift, and one of the other girls who's here on this trip was there with there at the code as well, and was watching through one of the windows, and it was actually her first experience for cardiac arrest. And so afterwards we spent some time talking with one another and just trying to process what had happened in practical terms but in emotional terms as well, and so that was really helpful. And then the lecturing staff who were here with us, Kim and Lisa, did a great job at just helping us to debrief a tiny bit and just make sure that we were okay, and I was in the end. But like I said, I don't have any extremes of emotion about it. I just would have gotten on with it and I would have dealt with it. The patient did survive the code and we got them back. I think I would feel very differently about it had that not been the case, and so I think for my first arrest it's actually been incredibly beneficial that the person survived. That I can just see that yes, this intervention does make a difference and it can help someone, and so I've reconciled myself with that and I'm feeling a lot better. But I just, like, when I walked into the hospital on Thursday morning, I just never ever would have thought that that would be how I would end my day, and it was literally 15 minutes before the end of the shift. So yeah, a bit of a baptism of fire actually. We're back at UPMC next Thursday, and I'm hoping that I'll get ED or oh no, I haven't. I've got a cardiothoracic ITU, woohoo! Which is kind of like my backup if I can't get into neuro. So that is going to be a really good experience. So yeah, there's just my probably longer than I intended update about my experience. And I'm sure as time goes on, I'll be able to properly reflect about it and think about it. But for now, that's kind of how I feel about it. Absolutely fantastic day on Thursday. It really was, despite obviously the traumatic ending to it. But I learnt so much, and I really got on with my mentor. And she said right before, she was like, I don't want you to leave. I've had such a good time with you today. So that was really nice. I'm just going to carry on editing videos as and when I can, and I will check in with you all as soon as I get to do so. See you later.